So what I'm going to be using here is this battery-powered airbrush that I picked up from Micromark. Now, did I need a battery-powered airbrush? No, but I was just so enthralled by it at the show, I just had to get one. Actually, I got two. This is the broad tip, and then there's also a pencil fine tip, different airbrush. But the idea behind this, there's just a little brushless motor in there that pumps the paint and air out, and it's a top-loading dual action airbrush. So I'm going to try it out on this. You can see I haven't applied anything here yet. And let's just start at the front. So we're going to get it fired up, and I'm just going to run over the demarcation here, and then like follow these panel lines. And this is like a dark gray color, and it's just kind of, you know, weathering it up a little bit, just subtle. We'll go over the limber holes. So what I'm going to do here, so that you don't have to like watch me this whole time, is I'm going to go over all of this. And then we're going to move on to the next phase. All right, here's the result of about 15 minutes worth of work. You can see just, you know, kind of a subtle highlighting of the panels, like certainly much more subtle once you get back. Now what we need to do is actually make proper rust. So right now we got like some little orange dots and some of this kind of browny, orangey, reddy, streaky thing, which is good. We can work with this for sure, but we need to make these rust spots more pronounced. So to that end, what we're going to do is bust out some oils, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, like I mentioned, this is a quick and dirty way of rusting. There's ways to do this much, much better than what you're going to see here. But if you don't want to go into that super in-depth, this is a really good way just to make it look a little bit more realistic. So I just took some of this oil paint that you can see here, earth colored, and put a little bit on the end of the brush, and I'm just going to put it where it kind of makes sense that it would be. Edges, lips, places that the paint would chip, all right? Leading edges, you know, that kind of thing. Corners, and of course anywhere that you've got a boo-boo in the hull is a great spot to put a little bit of rust. So I like to put them in the scupper drains here. Now what I'm going to do is just take my rag and in a vertical manner streak it downward. And if you think it's too much, give it additional wipes. You're pulling downward, streaking everything in a downward manner. So you can see, like right there is a good example of kind of how it turns out. We're going to go through that. Don't go crazy. Less is more. But you just do want to kind of make it look realistic. And then we're going to go back in and finish it up. All right, here we are after the first layer of streaking rust. Now, a couple things I want you to note. These scupper holes, limber holes, are typically really prone to rust because they've got a lot of edges. And you always see people, when they're weathering, they make the mistake of just doing little tiny streaks. In real life, these things streak all the down the boat. They wash, down really, really far. So don't be afraid to pull these down, into the hull. It's oil, so you can rub it off. Make it subtle. From time to time, take a step back and just make sure you're not overdoing it. And you'll know because it'll look like a rust bucket. You can use your finger, you can use a rag, you can use a Q-tip. These raised details are really, really cool because they'll catch, bigger pockets, and then you can streak it down the hull. But next step, I think this is brown wash. Red ochre, I think, is the color a lot of people use. And now what we're going to do is create the actual rust spots, the actual rust pockets that are creating the streaking. And this is really important because otherwise it just doesn't look right. So I'm just going to take a little bit, and the idea is you're just going to make these little dark spots. You see how that just really makes that more realistic looking. So we're gonna, at the base, where this rust is going to originate, we're gonna put these dark spots, and that is what's going to create the more realistic look for your rust. So just proceeding here, little corners, and little dabs. A little spot is what makes a big streak. And you just want to make sure that every, light orange streak has an origin. Note that the rails are really prone to rusting and chipping, because obviously they're used a lot. If you find you've got a big, blob of rust and you want to clean that up, just take a Q-tip and just kind of rub it a little bit, and that'll clean it up. And again, note the corners, the little ridges, and then always on the, at least for me, on the bottoms of these limber holes, you want to have something that creates the origin for your rust. Get to it. Alright, little sweep. Did most of what I want to do here because I've got about 15 minutes left before my hour is up. But yeah, just take a close look there. I got the origin of the rust, and then the streaking from the rust, and just bring it down. Don't be afraid to bring it down, quite far. The other thing I want to mention is I just put a few random little dark rust spots, and you can just go down your hull, and if you got like a little dimple or paint run or anything you want to kind of hide, turn it into rust. Make it something that you can take advantage of. So I'm going to finish up the other side, and then we'll take an overview look from a little ways back, see how it looks.